The rain had been falling since morning, slow and patient, like it had nowhere else to go. Daniel sat by the small window of his apartment, watching the water slide down the glass in thin, trembling lines. The city outside looked blurred, as if someone had smeared the world with wet fingers. He had been staring there for almost an hour when his phone vibrated on the table. A message, unknown number. He hesitated before opening it. Most unknown messages were mistakes, advertisements, or the kind of conversations that led nowhere. But something about the quiet afternoon made him curious. The message was simple. "I finally found you." Daniel frowned. His fingers hovered over the screen. "Who is this?" For a few seconds there was nothing. Then the typing dots appeared. "You probably don't remember me." A strange feeling crawled up his chest. He tried to search his memory but came up empty. Should I? Another pause. Maybe not. It's been 12 years. 12 years. The number felt heavy. 12 years ago, Daniel had been a completely different person. Back then, he still believed the world was simple and people stayed. Back then, his father was still alive. His mother still laughed loudly in the kitchen. Back then, he still had someone named Emma. The phone vibrated again. "You once told me something that saved my life." Daniel sat up straighter. "What did I say?" There was a long silence before the reply arrived. "You told me that sometimes strangers are the only ones who truly see us." Daniel felt his breath catch. A memory stirred somewhere deep in the fog of his mind. A bus station, a cold night, a girl sitting alone on a bench with red eyes and trembling hands. He remembered buying 2 cups of terrible vending machine coffee. He remembered sitting beside her without asking questions. And he remembered talking for hours with someone whose name he never learned. His heart began to beat faster. "Bus station, winter, you were crying." The reply came almost instantly. "Yes." Daniel leaned back slowly, stunned. "I thought about that night for years." The message continued. "You talked to me like I mattered, like my life wasn't already broken." The rain outside grew heavier. Daniel remembered her now. Not clearly, but enough. The way she kept wiping tears with the sleeve of her jacket. The way her voice shook when she laughed at his stupid jokes. Back then, he'd been traveling for work, passing through the city for only a few hours. He had never expected that conversation to matter to anyone. "Are you okay now?" he typed. Another pause. "Better than okay." A picture appeared on the screen. Daniel opened it. It showed a woman standing in front of a small bookstore. She looked confident, peaceful. Her dark hair was tied loosely behind her head, and there was a quiet strength in her smile. Under the photo was a message. "This is my store." Daniel felt warmth spread slowly through his chest. "That's amazing. You helped me get here." He shook his head instinctively. "I just talked with you for a few hours. You gave me something no one else did. Hope." Daniel stared at the words. Hope. It sounded like such a large word for something he barely remembered. The phone buzzed again. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you still believe what you told me that night?" Daniel frowned. "What exactly did I say?" "You said that people are like bridges. Sometimes we cross each other's lives only once, but the crossing still changes our direction forever." He closed his eyes slowly. He remembered saying that. He had been half joking at the time, trying to comfort a stranger who looked like she had already given up on life. But hearing the words now made them feel heavier. "I don't know if I still believe it," he typed honestly. "Why not?" Daniel looked around his quiet apartment. The walls felt too close, too empty, because sometimes it feels like people are just roads that end. For a while there was no answer. Then a new message appeared. "I think you're wrong." Daniel stared at the screen. "You changed my life," she wrote. "But you also changed yours that night. You just don't realize it yet." He felt a strange ache in his chest. "What do you mean?" The typing dots appeared again. "After you left the bus station, I made a promise to myself. I promised that if I ever became strong enough, I would find the person who reminded me that life was still worth living." Daniel felt a chill run through him. "So you looked for me?" "For years." He laughed quietly, surprised. "Why?" "Because sometimes gratitude is the only way to heal." The rain softened outside, becoming a gentle whisper against the glass. Daniel looked again at the picture of her bookstore. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lena." He whispered the name to himself. "Nice to finally meet you, Lena. Nice to finally find you, Daniel." He blinked. How do you know my name? Another message arrived. You told me that night. He tried to remember. Maybe he had. It was so long ago. But why contact me now? The answer came slowly. Because today, someone came into my bookstore crying. Daniel felt his throat tighten. And I remembered what you did for me. So I sat with her. I listened. I bought 2 terrible cups of coffee from the cafe next door. Daniel smiled faintly. Did it help? Yes. A long pause followed before Lena wrote again. When she left, she said something strange. What? She said she felt like she had just crossed a bridge. Daniel stared at the message. His heart beat slowly, deeply. Lena continued. And that's when I realized something. Your bridge didn't end with me. It keeps going. The words settled inside him like quiet sunlight. For years, Daniel had believed his life had become small and meaningless. Work, sleep, silence, days blending into each other without purpose. But now, a single memory was unfolding into something bigger than he ever imagined. A chain of kindness, a bridge extending farther than he could see. His phone vibrated again. Can I ask you one more thing? Of course. Are you happy? The question lingered in the room like a fragile object. Daniel thought about it carefully. For a long time, he had answered that question with silence. But something felt different now. Not yet, he typed. But maybe I'm starting to remember how. Another message came. Then maybe it's your turn to cross a bridge. He looked at the rain fading outside. What do you mean? Lena sent another picture. This time it was a photo of the inside of the bookstore. Warm lights, wooden shelves, a small reading corner near the window. Under it she wrote one simple sentence. There's an empty chair here if you ever need it. Daniel felt his chest tighten with emotion he couldn't quite explain. He had spent years feeling invisible. Yet somewhere out there, a stranger had carried his words like a lantern through the darkness. And now that light was coming back to him. The rain stopped completely. Outside, the clouds slowly began to part, revealing a pale evening sky. Daniel stood up and walked to the window. For the first time in a long while, the world didn't feel blurred. His phone vibrated once more. Just so you know, Lena wrote, bridges go both ways. Daniel looked at the message and smiled. Maybe they did. Maybe one small conversation on a cold night had quietly built. Something stronger than either of them realized. And maybe, somewhere in the quiet unfolding of human lives, strangers were still saving each other without even knowing it.